Let us see how to create an Adobe form under an SAP system. Now before starting with this, we'll have to install Adobe Lifecycle Designer on our system and Adobe Designer on our server. So these are the two things which needs to be configured before we start with the Adobe forms. Now here we will take an example where we will pass a parameter called as carrier ID to that form and will print that same data under the Adobe form with a page heading. So for doing this, first we'll have to open the initial screen of the Adobe form. So the transaction code is SFP. So we have to write this SFP transaction code in the command field and press enter. Now once we press enter, we'll get this particular initial screen for the form builder. Here we'll have the option as form and interface. So here first we'll have to create the interface for any Adobe form. So here we will write the interface name. So here we have taken the interface name as zdemo_interface and we'll click on this create icon. Now once we click on this create icon, it will open a window where it will ask us to enter the description name along with the interface type. So here we'll have to enter the description name that is of our choice, and here we'll have to select the interface type. Either it could be ABAP dictionary based interface, XML schema based interface, or SmartForms compatible interface. So here we will select the interface as ABAP dictionary based interface and then we'll click on that create icon. Now once we click on that create icon, after that we'll have to save it under a package and a workbench request. So once we save that under a workbench request and a package, it will open this particular screen, that is the form builder screen. So here under this form builder screen, we'll have to double click on this import icon. Now once we double click on this form interface icon, it will open this particular window where we'll have the default parameter name as this. So this is a default parameter name which will be already available under this window. Now next we'll have to click on this create icon for creating the import variables. So here we'll click on this create icon. Once we click on that create icon, it will give us a line where we will mention the parameter values. So here we have maintained the parameter name as carrier ID, type assignment of as type, and the type name, that is a table name from which the data would be fetched. And we'll have to pass this value to this particular form. So here we have selected the checkbox as pass value. So after maintaining this parameter values, we'll have to save and activate this particular interface. Now remember that we have to first create an interface where we will declare the variables, and after that we will define the form. So once defining the parameter values, next step is we'll have to define the form. So for that we'll again go back to that previous screen of that form builder and we'll select the radio button as form. So here initially the radio button was interface. Now we'll have to select the radio button as form. We'll have to provide the form name and we'll click on this create icon. Now as soon as we click on this create icon, it will ask for a form description name and also we'll have to write the interface name. So here we'll have to write the description of that form and we'll have to write the interface name from which the values will be fetched. So initially we have created the interface as zdemo_interface, so that same name will be appeared here. And then we'll click on this save icon. Now once we click on this save icon, it will ask for a workbench request and a package name. Then after saving that data, it will open this particular screen, that is a form builder screen for that form. Initially we got the screen for interface, now we will design the form. So once we click on that, it will open the window under that context tab with the details for that import fields and system fields. So once we drop down this import fields, we will get the field name which will be available under this zdemo_interface, the interface which we have designed as our first step while designing the form. So that carrier ID field will be available under this import parameter. So here we'll have to drag and drop this carrier ID parameter from interface to this context menu which is there on the right hand side. So here we'll have to simply drag and drop this field under this interface and that will be available automatically under this context menu. Now after this, the next step is we'll have to click on the layout tab. So here once we do this, we'll have to click on this layout tab. Now once we click on that layout tab, it will open this layout screen, which is the next, that is the third tab beside the context tab. So once we click on this layout tab, it will open this particular screen. Now here we'll have to click on the palettes icon, which is available here. So once we click on this palettes icon, which is available in this toolbar, we'll get the options for designing that particular layout. So here we'll include a heading and a display value to the carrier ID, which will be passed to the form. So for that, we'll click on layouts and we'll go to this library layout. So after this, once we click on this, we'll get this library. So after selecting that particular option as library, we'll have to select the standard toolbar, like if you want to create a list box, a print button, a rectangle, then a table or a text. So here we'll create a text where we will display the heading. So once we click on the text icon, this particular text element will be highlighted and we'll have to drag and drop that particular text under that page. So here we'll select this particular text and we'll drag and drop this under that area where we have to design the layout. So once we select that text, it will be appear under this page. Now once that text box is available, we'll have to double click on that object, that is a text box, and we'll have to enter the text which needs to be printed on the output end. So here we have written the text as welcome to Adobe Form Tutorials. So here this text will be appear as a heading to that particular Adobe form. Now after this, next we'll again go to that library and we'll select a text field where we will display the data for that carrier ID. So here we'll again drag and drop that field beside the text field, that is a heading text field. So this is a text field where here we will double click and write the data to be printed, and here we will enter the value, that is the value will be printed here during the runtime. So here under that text fields, we'll have to write the details. So for that, we'll right click on this particular field, we'll select palettes and we'll select object as its option. So here once we select object, it will open this particular window where we have to write the caption, that is the carrier ID or any caption of our choice. So this caption will be available under this text fields. So under this object, we have to mention the caption and then we'll have to maintain the value. So after the object field, next is value tab under the object. So here we'll have to select the type, like read only, then user entered, calculated read only, etc. So here we will select the field as read only. After maintaining that value, next step is we'll have to bind that data from the interface. So here we'll go to the binding tab and here we'll select the parameter, that is the carrier ID parameter. So here we'll bind this carrier ID parameter, and then that same name will be available here as default binding. Now after that, we'll save and activate this form. Then once we save and activate, we'll have to test that particular form by either clicking on this icon or directly executing by pressing F8 key. So once we execute that, we'll get this particular test function module screen where we have to mention the carrier ID, since we have provided that as our importing parameter. So here we have mentioned the carrier ID as AA, and after that we'll have to click on this execute icon. Once we click on that, it will give us this output screen where it will display the heading which we have mentioned. Along with that, it will display the text field data which we have provided during the runtime. So this is how we design a simple Adobe form under SAP system with the help of a form and an interface.